Every subscriber. Every signal. One platform. This is the CX Care Command Center, built for modern telecom enterprises and running on the BDB platform. Before we sign in, look at what the product promises on its front door, because the rest of this walkthrough is just those 3 promises made concrete. Detractor prediction: AI flags at-risk subscribers before they churn or complain. Not after the survey. Not after the poured-out request. Before. SLA breach prevention: real-time alerts that route tickets before deadlines are missed, rather than reporting on the ones you already blew. And proactive care orchestration: auto-assigning the right agent before the customer has to ask. Encrypted connection: SOC 2 compliant, enterprise SSO ready. Let's go in. This is the single-pane cockpit. Everything a CX leader needs to answer: what's the state of my customer base right now, without opening a second system. Across the top, for vital signs. Predicted detractors: subscribers the model expects to score below 7, whether or not they've ever filled in a survey. Average predicted NPS, with movement against the prior period. Complaints sitting at critical SLA breach, out of your total open volume. And high-risk subscribers, defined by churn score threshold, taken at the last snapshot. Now, and this is the part that separates a dashboard from a command center, look at the right-hand column. The alert and opportunity feed doesn't report metrics. It issues instructions. An SLA breach alert with the count and the denominator. A regulatory exposure alert naming the open reportable cases and warning you before the escalation window closes. A detractor spike alert that tells you what share of your base has crossed the line and recommends launching a retention campaign. Each one is dismissible, each one is actionable. A shift manager can open this screen at 9 a.m. and know exactly what the day's work is. Bottom left, top CX drivers answers the why. Damaged in transit, incorrect items shipped, billing disputes, network outages, physical damage, ranked. That's your root cause list, and it's the difference between treating symptoms and fixing process. In the middle, complaint breach bands split your open estate by severity: low, medium, high, critical, so you can see whether you have a volume problem or a severity problem. Those are very different fixes. And on the right, module status. Proactive care active, complaint SLA and alert, CX index running. 3 engines, live health check, no guessing whether the pipeline ran. The overview also carries a 90-day predicted NPS trend, so you can separate a bad day from a bad direction. Module A is proactive care, and it starts here. Traditional NPS has a structural problem: response rates. You survey a segment, a fraction reply, and you extrapolate the mood of your entire base from the loudest few. Detractor risk fixes that by scoring every subscriber, every day, from behavior, usage patterns, billing events, complaint history, network experience, interaction signals. Top row is diagnosis. Predicted detractors, with week-on-week movement. High-value detractors, the same population filtered to your premium ARPU segment, because a detractor on your top tier is not the same commercial event as one on entry tier. Revenue at risk turns that population into a value-weighted figure, that's the number you take to a CFO. And average predicted NPS, with movement against the prior period. Second row is treatment, not diagnosis. Recovery rate over a rolling 30 days, measured against your target, the honest test of whether your interventions work. Pending outreach counts detractors with no contact log entry, which is your operational leak, people the model flagged that nobody called. Detractors recovered month to date, evidenced by churn score improvement, not by opinion. And top segment, naming where detractor concentration is highest and what share of the base it represents. The 12-week trend plots total detractors against high-value detractors, so you can see whether your risk is growing in volume or in value. 2 very different problems. And the customer segment breakdown is where this becomes strategy. Enterprise, value, SME, youth, senior, each carrying its own detractor concentration. Same headline signal, 5 completely different plays. Enterprise risk is a relationship and contract conversation. Youth risk is a pricing and data conversation. Senior risk is usually a service and support conversation. This chart tells you which meeting to schedule, and with whom. Prediction without action is just expensive reporting. This screen is the bridge. The proactive care queue takes every subscriber above your churn score threshold and ranks them by value-weighted dissatisfaction. Not by score alone, and not by revenue alone, by the product of the two. The most valuable unhappy customer is always at row 1. For control metrics sit above the table, at-risk subscriber count against the churn threshold, high-value tier share of that queue, average churn score across the queue, and average predicted NPS. Those 4 tell a supervisor whether today's queue is bigger, worse, or richer than yesterday's. The table itself is deliberately dense, because an agent working this list should never need a second tab. Subscriber ID, masked. NPS band, detractor, passive or promoter, color-coded. Predicted NPS score. Value tier. Then the primary driver column, which carries the model's recommended play in plain language, immediate outreach, offer a personalized retention bundle. Last contact date, complaints in the last 30 days, and state. 2 actions per row. Credit issues a goodwill credit. Reach launches outreach on the preferred channel. Both are one click, and both write back to the contact log so the next agent sees what happened. And for scale, bulk outreach dispatches to the entire filtered segment at once, so a campaign manager can treat 10,000 subscribers as easily as an agent treats one. Export queue hands the same list to any external system you still run. Click any row and you land here, the subscriber 360. Header carries identity, masked account, state, plan type and tenure, with the current NPS band as a status chip. 3 panels underneath. Predicted NPS, with a model confidence percentage, because a score of 55 at 73% confidence is a different conversation from the same score at 95. Value tier with average monthly ARPU. And outreach status, which flags immediately if this subscriber has not been contacted in the loaded window. On the left, top dissatisfaction drivers explains the score. If churn risk signals are flagged, they're listed. If none are, it says so plainly rather than inventing a reason. Below that sits the recommended action with its model family and preferred channel, so the agent knows both what to do and why the system thinks so. Then the 3 action buttons. And I want to be specific about this one. Issue credit is marked HITL. Human in the loop. The model can identify, rank, and recommend, but it cannot spend your money. A person approves. Launch outreach opens the campaign. Log records a manual interaction. Every one of those writes an auditable record with a user and a timestamp, which matters enormously 2 screens from now, when we get to regulatory. On the right, the 90-day NPS trend shows the customer's actual trajectory. You can see the moment sentiment collapsed and whether it's recovering. Underneath, open complaints with ID, type, severity, and SLA deadline, so an agent about to make a retention offer knows there's an unresolved ticket before they pick up the phone. And full interaction history below that. Now, let's move to the Outreach and Recovery Outcomes tab. This screen closes the loop, and it's the one that survives contact with a finance review. Top row, total campaigns dispatched across all types, overall conversion rate as conversions over sends, revenue attributed, and total spend. For numbers, one honest answer to is this working? Conversion rate by campaign type compares your plays side by side, callback, credit, offer, escalation, information. Some of those are cheap and convert well. Some are expensive and don't. This chart is how you stop funding the second kind. Send volume by campaign type breaks the total into recurring, reactivation, trigger-based, NPS follow-up, event-driven, bill payment, onboarding and upsell, each with its share of total volume. Where you're spending effort, at a glance. And the campaign effectiveness summary is the working table. Campaign type, sends, conversions, conversion rate, ROI percentage, attributed revenue, and a status flag. Anything underperforming is automatically marked for review, so the weak campaigns surface themselves instead of hiding inside an average. Module B shifts from prediction to obligation. This is real-time SLA monitoring. The banner is the headline for the entire module: P1 complaints currently outside SLA, regulator reportable cases, and your live escalation rate. If you read nothing else on this screen, you read that line. 8 metrics underneath, in 2 rows. Row 1 is volume and pressure, total open complaints at end of day, critical P1 breaches where breach is imminent or already passed, total escalated to a higher tier, and average resolution time measured against your SLA target. Row 2 is performance, SLA resolution rate against threshold, escalation rate as a share of total complaints, regulator reportable count, and same-day resolved as a first contact resolution proxy. Each carries a spark line, so you see the shape of the trend without leaving the tile. Daily complaint volume over the last 30 days shows your load pattern, where the spikes land, whether they're weekly, whether they correlate with a release or an outage. Complaints by severity splits the open estate into critical, high, medium and low, with counts. This is your triage capacity planning input. And top complaint reasons is the operational goldmine, every reason ranked by count, with its category tag, how many were resolved within SLA, how many escalated, and average resolution hours. That last column is the one people miss. A reason with low volume but a 400-hour average resolution is quietly destroying your SLA rate, and this table is where you catch it. Now, let's move to the Complaint Queue tab. The dashboard tells you the state of the estate. This screen tells you what to touch first. It's a triage layer, high-risk complaints only, sorted by breach probability, descending. Complaint ID, subscriber, type, and severity. Then the predictive columns. SLA countdown, time remaining, or flagged overdue in red. Burn ratio, how much of the allotted SLA window has been consumed, as a bar and a decimal, so a case at 0.97 is visibly about to expire. Breach probability, the model's actual prediction that this case will miss. And escalation risk, a separate signal for whether this case is likely to climb the ladder. Channel tells you where the customer is waiting, digital chat, voice, retail, assistant. Then 2 actions. Reassign moves the case to a team with capacity. Escalate pushes it up a tier. Batch reassign does the same across the filtered set, so a supervisor can rebalance a whole shift's workload in one action. Export hands the queue to any downstream system. The point of this screen is simple: you are no longer reading a backlog of failures. You are looking at a list of cases that have not failed yet. Let's move to the Regulatory tab. When a complaint becomes a compliance matter, the Compliance Guardian takes over. 3 counters at the top: open regulatory and compliance cases, distinct violation categories currently in play, and cases closed to date. The banner confirms due process monitoring is active. Below that is the regulatory case register, and this is your audit trail. Every case carries a case ID, the masked subscriber, the violation type, a precise raised timestamp down to the microsecond, current status, open, in progress, resolved, or closed, and a named assignee. Not a team. A person. The violation taxonomy covers the categories that actually generate regulatory exposure in telecom: DNC violations, data privacy breaches, 10 DLC template mismatches, quiet hours violations, suppression list breaches, frequency cap breaches, and opt-outs not honored. Open cases carry an escalate action. Closed cases show as closed, and can't be quietly reopened without a record. Here's why this screen matters more than it looks. Every action taken anywhere else in this platform, every credit issued in care detail, every bulk outreach dispatched from the proactive queue, every escalation from the risk queue, is logged with a user and a timestamp. Which means when a regulator asks what you did, when you did it, and who authorized it, the answer is an export, not a 3-week internal investigation. Module C answers the question every executive eventually asks: give me one number. The CX index is a weighted composite on a 100-point scale, tracked against your target. Beside it, complaint SLA rate as a percentage resolved within SLA, and your best performing state with its own index score. The CX component breakdown shows the recipe, and the weights are visible on purpose. NPS proxy carries 35%. Complaint SLA, 30%. Network quality of experience, 20%. Interaction sentiment, 15%. Each component shows its current score alongside its weight. That transparency is the whole design. When the index drops, you don't launch an investigation, you look at the 4 bars and see immediately which lever moved. An index falling because complaint SLA collapsed is an operations problem. The same drop driven by network QoE is an engineering problem. Same number, entirely different escalation path. Complaint volume trend runs alongside it, so you can correlate index movement against complaint load directly. And the CX index trend chart at the bottom plots the composite against all 4 components over time, with the latest value, day-on-day movement, and your target line. You can watch a component diverge from the composite weeks before it drags the headline number down. One more thing on the best performing state. That's not decoration. Benchmarking against an industry average tells you very little, because the comparison set is different. Benchmarking your worst region against your best region, same brand, same network, same products, same pricing, tells you exactly how much of the gap is addressable, and gives your regional teams a target that already exists inside the business. Here we have the CXCCC agent, designed to help customer experience and operations teams quickly investigate churn, complaints, campaigns, and SLA-related issues using natural language. Instead of navigating multiple dashboards or manually filtering complaint data, the user can simply ask a business question. For example, I can ask, "Show me SLA breached complaints by count, broken down by severity." The agent immediately analyzes the underlying complaint data and returns both a concise business summary and a visual breakdown. Here we can see the SLA breached complaints categorized into low, medium, high, and critical severity. The agent also highlights the key insight: the majority of SLA breaches are concentrated in the low and medium severity categories, enabling the operations team to quickly understand where the largest complaint volumes are occurring. The corresponding chart provides an immediate visual comparison across severity levels. From here, users can continue the investigation conversationally, for example, asking which complaint categories are driving the breaches, which customers are impacted, which regions have the highest SLA violations, or what actions should be prioritized. This enables teams to move from data discovery to insight and action through a single conversational CX agent, significantly reducing the time required to investigate customer service issues. So, one platform, 4 movements. Predict the detractor, before they churn and before they complain. Work the queue, ranked by value, with the recommended play attached and a human approving every spend. Prove the outcome, campaign by campaign, with ROI you can defend. And stay compliant, with a timestamped, owner-attributed audit trail sitting under every action. That's the CX Care Command Center. From churn signal to regulator ready, in one pane. Powered by BDB platform. Thank you.